All right, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of in the Entrepreneurs Are interview series. I'm your host, Roger W. Sims, also known as the Business Reality Coach. Today, we're going to be interviewing another one of my long-time friends who's been in the entrepreneurship game a while, Arthur Muhammad, also known as the Cut Professor. Before we jump into the interview, just a little bit of a setup. This interview series is for pretty much anyone who is has an entrepreneurial spirit, regardless of where they are along their entrepreneurial journey. Today, we'll just be having a friendly conversation, a very loose conversation about the experience of an entrepreneur, the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and all the stuff in between. So to assist our community of entrepreneurs, you necessarily learn and be mentored by other entrepreneurs who have gone through some of the things they're going through, as well as things they may go through in the future. So, with that being said, let's jump into the interview. And I'm going to go ahead and let our guest, Arthur Muhammad, the Cut Professor, introduce himself to us briefly.
Greetings, family. Peace and blessings to you all. Thank you, Coach Sims, Biz Reality Coach, longtime friend, confidant, for the opportunity. I'm truly honored to be invited to this interview to share what I've learned as an entrepreneur for the past now 24 years. Again, my name is Arthur Muhammad. I am also known as the Cut Professor. I'm a master barber and a master educator in the field and the profession of barbering. I've studied extensively on various components in the barber styling and cosmetology world. I'm a student of the Silk and Classy Barber College, Dudley's Beauty School, and I attended Moeller Barber College as well to receive my first barber license, which is the first barber college established in Chicago. I was a pre-pharmacy major initially, a college student. Thought I wanted to seek that path. Of course, on the side, boy, I was cutting hair. And I began to learn about and study a philosophy taught by Elijah Muhammad, do for self. Do for self is a term that really can be equated to entrepreneurship because that's in essence what it means. So when I began to study that concept and that philosophy, I jumped from being employed in the pharmacy at Walgreens after 6 or 7 years and moving from Chicago to Louisiana to try to pursue pharmaceuticals back to Chicago, finally entering barber college. I had a new family, wife, new child on the way, and I decided to quit my job and go full-fledged, take the leap of faith into barbering. And that was in 1995. And from 1995 to now, I've been pursuing that dream, and it has taken me through many ups, downs, ins, outs, but it has blessed my life up to this point. Yeah.
All right. So fantastic, sir. I appreciate you giving us that background there. Talk to me, share with us a little bit about the different businesses or entrepreneurial endeavors you've embarked on over the last 20 plus years.
Well, so of course I've tried multi-level marketing. I've tried to jump into that, but all while at the same time I was pursuing, my field of barbering and running a business. That has been really my sole focus, for the most part. Then I upgraded my education and decided to become a barber instructor. And that's really where I found my sixth gear, if you will. When I went back to school to study being a barber instructor, that's really when I found deep inside that what my true talent was, which was not only cutting hair and styling hair, but also instructing and developing a system that can take people from a novice, someone who's never picked up a pair of clippers before, and make them a master barber as well. So throughout the last 25 years, my primary focus has been around and in the world of barber styling. I dibbled and dabbled, like I said, in a few things, multi-level media marketing things, but nothing ever really consumed me or gave me the benefit of barber styling.
Okay. All right. So with that being the case, I know your background, so I'll jump in and talk a little bit about it. So um, owned a barber shop on the south side of Chicago called Original Man's for how many years?
Yeah, 21 years. That's right. That
Okay.
was, yes, sir, 21
Uh,
years as owner, operator of Original Man's Barbershop on 73rd and Jeffrey. Unique thing about Original Man's was the environment. I always wanted to set up an environment that was welcoming to the community and slash serve as a community center, if you will, where people can come, get a haircut, and then gain some kind of knowledge or education to help themselves be better people. Um, that has been to this point my greatest entrepreneurial endeavor, and it it has taught me a plethora of lessons of how to run a business, operate business. I didn't have Coach Sims when I opened Original Man's, so everything I did was on the job training, right? So I did that for 21 years. Um, Quite a few of the barbers and stylists who came under my tutelage and were operators inside of Original Man's Barbershop went on to become shop and salon owners themselves. Many branched off into other legs of the profession, aesthetics and things of that nature, and are doing very well, nails, and are doing very well to this day. So I kind of pride myself in being a great leader, which is also a characteristic that entrepreneurs must have, especially if you're running a business and managing people. You have to display leadership. So after 21 years, I decided to close the doors of Original Man's. Um, Bittersweet, but when you are operating from a business standpoint and not an emotional standpoint, and as Coach Sims taught me, if the business is no longer profitable or benefiting you, or you feel like there's no more room to grow, then it's time to shift and do something different. So that's what I decided to do. And I stepped down from ownership pedestal and just went in as an operator. And that was at Legacy Cuts too. Different location, um, um, brighter, more vibrant community, upscale, um, brand new establishment. Kind of reinvigorated my mind and set me on pace to where now, um, pardon me, of course, Corona, I was there for a year and a half, 2018 to 2020. And the pandemic, of course, occurred. We all been affected by that, and it caused the doors of that second location to shut down permanently. And another opportunity dropped in my lap to allow me to step back in the seat of leadership. And that's currently where I am at the Coleman Brothers Barbershop on 68th and Stony Island. And what I can say about each move that I made, each move has been a better move for me financially, as well as aesthetically, if you will. Every level was a better established and brand new, environment to the, and now I have the ideal place that I always desired to have. The setup is what I'm talking about particularly. So this is where we are now, and we're getting ready to launch something big. I know we're going to get into that a little later.
All right, fantastic. Well, I appreciate that insight, man. We're not going to get into the cleaning service you had before either, but maybe we'll have some time to talk about that, but we'll see. Wow. So, as I talk to many entrepreneurs, I remember more about their entrepreneurial endeavors a lot of times than they did. So,
yes,
so anyway, with that being the case, man, let's move into the next. We have some predetermined questions that I had listed here for you, man. So let's jump into those. And so the first question is, when did you know that entrepreneurship was the right path for you?
Wow, this was 1995. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, I had been cutting hair all along. And in studying the Do for Self philosophy, what it helped me to realize was that I can create my own ceiling. That was it. That was the aha moment. And when I compare that level of freedom and flexibility to establish, my own hours, my own environment, hire my own workforce and, just set things up as I would have them as an entrepreneur to operate my business, it was like, it was a no brainer. And then I began to compare and contrast because, of course, the idea is bubbling, but yet I'm still employed. So now employment is becoming more and more intolerable because I've introduced a new idea into my mind that's contradictory to being an employee. And so I just began to be more and more frustrated. And the more frustrated I got, the more I knew that this was the path that I needed to take. So I enrolled in barber college. And my wife at the time was scheduled to deliver our son at the end of May. And I had made up my mind that at the end of May, I was going to resign and just go ahead and make the jump to go in full-fledged as an entrepreneur.
All right, fantastic. A lot of times there's a seminal moment when somebody, you'll wake up in the middle of the night saying, I got to do my own thing. Or you walk into a location and you see somebody doing something, you're like, I can do that too. Was there ever one of those moments that you remember back when you just like, this is it? Like, that this is the moment?
Well, it was when I had a small but consistent little clientele coming in my dad's basement. I was living with my father.
Okay.
I had set up my little barber shop in the basement. I had all the professional clippers, my little makeshift station, a chair that spent around on top of a platform, one little light bulb. And, I was really, I was making money. And, everybody began to tell me, that this was what I should be doing. And so one day there was a barbershop, very, 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 very popular barbershop, the barbershop in the community. And it was called Cliff's Barbershop. Everybody who was anybody at one time or another had to get their hair cut at Cliff's Barbershop. It was just that much of a highlight. So one day I got up and I walked down the street because it was literally a block away from my dad's home. And a friend of mine was in the parking lot waiting because Cliff's Barbershop was so popular that it opened at 8 o'clock, but the parking lot was full at 7, waiting for people to get in. So I saw a friend of mine parked in the parking lot, I saw his car, and I said, oh, that's Anthony, actually was his name. And I said, let me go down here and see, So I went down there, knocked on, what's up, bro? Oh, man, what's going on, man? Yeah, man, you waiting to get in the shop? He's like, yeah. I'm like, look, bro, I'm set up right at my pop's crib right down the street. I'm like, bro, I can take care of you, bro. I'm telling you. He was like, bro, I've been coming here, bro. I don't really let nobody else, but, one of the popular barbers by the name of Bill, I don't let nobody touch my hair. But I said, bro, trust me, I got you. He gave me that shot, pulled out of the parking lot of Cliffs, came right down to my dad's crib, took him down in the basement, blazed his haircut out of sight. And the man never went back to Cliffs again. I said, yeah, I got something here.
Right.
I got something here.
Hey, man, that's great, man. Well, hey, sometimes it comes to you in an actual practical moment when you actually get reinforced that what you're doing has value and people appreciate it. And the other part is, hey, they'll pay you to do it.
Right.
So some people, it's a wake up in the middle of the day, middle of the night, I'm sorry, and say, hey, I got to do something else. But for you, it seems it was, hey, I know I can get paid to do this and I can do it well and I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic, man. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, rather. Next question. Finish this statement, sir. Well, the setup is this: as you see, entrepreneurs are rock stars.
Absolutely.
This which I firmly believe that, and the name of this interview series is Entrepreneurs Are. Mm-hmm. So, based on what your experience has been in entrepreneurship, finish this statement: entrepreneurs are
resilient. Oh my God.
I agree with you, sir. So tell me more about that, man. Why do you say that?
Oh my God. Hey man, look, anything that goes on in your life affects you as an entrepreneur. All of the ups and downs, everything, the knocks, it affects your business. And so many times, at least once a year, you get rocked, and it can pose a threat to the ongoing, not just success, but just the whole continuation of the business. I've been in quite a few predicaments where I felt like I may have to close my doors. And your drive and determination has to be so strong to overcome whatever outside obstacles. And there's, pardon me, internal obstacles as well that come along with operating a business. Those are in and of themselves are enough to deter somebody from going down the path. But even then, when you add on the outside things that can occur in your personal life, domestically, marriages, children growing and going off to college, and your finances being hit, and so forth and so on. In my case, losing barbers, because you can't guarantee that an operator, a barber, a stylist is going to work for you forever. Any day, we don't hold anybody to contracts. So any day they can come in and say, hey, this is my last day. And you're left to have to fill that space. And until that time, deal with that loss of income, which can happen at any given moment. So those few things like that can have a huge impact, but an entrepreneur has to be resilient enough to be able to bounce back from those things, determined enough to work through those things, because the biggest and greatest I guess the biggest and greatest thing to an entrepreneur must be the sustaining of the business and growth of the business, especially if that's the income that's the income that you're depending on to support your lifestyle. The business takes a hit. Now, yes, entrepreneurs have to be absolutely resilient, because you can plan as best you can, as Coach Sam's often as during our sessions. There's no such thing as giving him an idea that you can't establish a step-by-step plan to achieve. So even in establishing those step-by-step plans, you can't compensate for the things that come just as a result of operating a business and being an entrepreneur. So when those setbacks come and those blows strike, man, if you're not resilient, then that's just a sign that you're not cut out to be an entrepreneur, because that's one of the number one characteristics that you must have. There's no success as an entrepreneur without being able to bounce back from the challenges that come with operating a business and managing people. Yeah.
Hey, so entrepreneurs are resilient. Not going to argue with that at all, and I'm 100% in agreement, with that. In my experience, working with you and other entrepreneurs, what I've seen is that entrepreneurship, I've learned, as I've gotten older and done this for a while, it's a journey. You may have plans to go one direction,
Yes.
but there may be some challenges, some roadblocks,
Yes.
Which causes you to take another path. But also, sometimes there are opportunities out there that you never even considered.
Exactly.
When you started out, that become available to you. Mm-hmm. But the challenge, or what you have to be able to do rather than challenge, is you have to be able to be resilient enough to stay in the game, right? And I think a lot of times the misinformation or misconception is that people are successful the first time they try their business. Normally, and on average, most business owners, it's their third or fourth business where they really hit it. It's typically because, hey, they figured out what not to do those first few times. It's like, trying to hit a baseball. Exactly. If you've never swung at a baseball before, it's going to be hard for you to hit it. You got to get the timing together, you got to have the right form and all that type of stuff. So to hit a baseball the first time is You know,
Yeah.
same thing with entrepreneurship. How are you going to hit a baseball if you've never done it? So a lot
Right.
of times, the first time becoming an entrepreneur is a learning lesson. And you have to stack what you learned on the next one and then on the next one. The challenge is, to your point, you have to be resilient enough to stay in the game. And then when one opportunity doesn't work itself out, take advantage of the next one, like you've done in your career. Started with the one shop, hey, took another entrepreneurial path, stayed in the industry, but
Yep.
you said before, just became an operator, but then another opportunity came up that you're able to jump back into to be an owner operator again. And all those the past experiences you've had and the resilience you've had to be able to stay in the game allowed you to take advantage of what you mentioned earlier was the best opportunity you've had so far. So all that is all a factor or based on your resilience. And, to be in the game 25 plus years, I'll just say congratulations on that. If you're in the game and doing that for that long, you're a success regardless of what your numbers are and all the other things. It's really about that resilience, stick to itness, whatever you want to call it. Just that allow you to be successful long term. So yeah, success is defined. It's going to be defined by entrepreneurs on different types of things, right? It can be lifestyle, it can be passion, it can be money. It's a lot of different variables, but everybody's is relative. But as I see your experience and the roles you have, definitely there's some success there, and it's all based on your resilience. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, sir. All right. So let's jump into the next question here. Well, it's not really a question, man. It's a fact. I'm a big believer in the numbers and the facts. As business reality coach, I like to bring the reality of what entrepreneurship is truly about. And so by discussing the facts of it, these aren't really debatable, right? It's just, hey, it's the science. And so what is your experience with the science? So with that being the case, when you hear this fact, I want to get your thoughts on it. Only 34% of small business owners use bank loans to finance their entrepreneurial endeavors. When you hear that, what comes to your mind and what's your experience with that fact?
My experience is that I'm one of the 66% who have not used a bank loan to fund
right.
my business.
So you're the majority.
I'm in the majority. The closest thing I can say that I've come to being able to utilize a outside capital or a loan from a financial institution to help with operating expenses is through sorry, I'm trying to get him a plug. I'm not being paid, but through PayPal. They developed a component where after you reach a certain amount of income coming in through their point of sale services through your business, they will offer you a loan, what they call a working capital loan. Outside of that, I will say though, as an entrepreneur, nobody ever taught me about what it takes and how to be qualified to get funding for a small business. They didn't teach us that in Barber College. I'm the first of my family since probably my grandparents and grandparents moved to Illinois to have a business. So everything was just on the job training for me. And again, going back to those personal things that can affect you as an entrepreneur, when you put yourself in a position where your credit isn't the best and you've had a couple of setbacks, maybe a chapter 7 here or there or something like that, then it will affect these kind of things. And then you have to be taught how to establish business credit. So all of these things that need to be included in the preparation of becoming an entrepreneur are very critical. And just my opinion is that that's why that percentage is so low, especially when it comes to small. But most people who open small businesses have very little capital, upstart capital, and they're depending on either loans from family members or friends, or just doing it out of their own pocket, hoping to make it happen. So yeah, I agree. And I'll say this as well to stand by that fact, is that I don't really know that I can say anyone. Well, maybe one person, just right off the back of my head, while we're conducting this interview, that I know that was able to go to the bank and get a substantial amount of financing to establish a business or further it. I'll say it like that, expand it. Yeah.
Well, hey, I think, thank you for sharing that. And, obviously I believe in that fact as well. And in my experience is that before, when people go to banks, I always tell people banks are in business, right? And they're in business to make money. They loan money, but they're to make money. But as an entrepreneur, if you look at the numbers, half of most businesses fail within the first 2 years, which is something I think we'll discuss in a future interview. But so if you're a bank and you're giving out money to small businesses, it's a 50% chance that this person may not be open and you can't get your money back.
Right.
That's not really a gamble. So really, as a bank, you're gambling on entrepreneurs, right? It's a gamble. Yeah. So as I always tell my clients, you should not be looking to go to a bank first to get started, because, you have to prove to them that you are going to be profitable, that they're going to be able to get their money back. And so that's so fundamentally, from a business perspective, banks don't necessarily give out loans to new businesses because they know 50% of the businesses aren't going to be around in the next 3 to 5 years. It's just how it is. It's just a fact. It's the reality behind it. And so I always encourage clients to look at themselves first. First is bootstrapping. What can you do on your own to generate your own income, right? To be able to support your business. But then the other one, as I always say, is called love loans. And those love loans come from people that love you, right? So hopefully, your friends, your family, and then yourself. Hopefully you love yourself, right? And that money that you've saved up, or if you have a retirement fund or your home equity, whatever, so a savings account, you can go use that money to start your own business, because you have to get to a point of, as I say, proving your concept. And then even some banks will say, hey, well, if they'll ask you, hey, who has loaned you money, right? And sometimes they want to see, who believes in you, right? If you won't loan yourself money, right, if your friends won't loan yourself money, right, if your family won't loan yourself money, why would they?
Exactly.
So, I'm not going to go down the path of saying, hey, banks are not your friend, but they aren't. They'll be more of a business partner. Now, a business partner wants a return on their investment. And so really, as an entrepreneur, you should not necessarily be looking for a bank to finance your startup until you've proven the concept, that your concept actually works, especially if it's something brand new and innovative, things of that nature. I definitely of the opinion that fact is definitely true. But I think, definitely once you put the right processes in place and generate that you're making revenue, there's an opportunity for you to actually, go into a bank and then get a loan, but also business credit. But there's other ways to get loans as well, with what they call OPM, right? Using other people's money to be able to take your business to the next level. And so being able to do that is definitely something that when you start out with a business that you should be looking at day one. And to your point, a lot of people don't even think about that concept of building business credit or setting up the proper structure to be able to have the right type of proper business identity to even set up a business credit. You just can't go and say, hey, I'm gonna start a business and I'm a sole proprietor and I want to establish business credit. Nah, you can't do that. You actually have to have a business structure like an LLC or a corporation.
That's right.
And then you have to start building your credit on top of that. And then once you build your credit, now, hey, I got established credit. I'm generating revenue. Now you go into a bank and say, hey, I'm doing all this. And they'll say, you know what? We can probably give you a loan. Obviously you gotta have a business plan too, but that's a different conversation.
And
so
when I got to the point where I tried, they said, yeah, okay, we'll give you a loan, but you have to match it dollar for dollar.
Right. Again, you gotta have some skin in the game. Yeah, again, this is a
So I said, oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is business, man. This is not about loving you, right? It's a business transactional relationship.
Yeah.
And and as I tell people, I encourage them not to necessarily get emotional about it. It's just business. It's the reality of it. So All right, man, great. I appreciate your insight into that, man, and your opinion and your experience in that area, because I think it's something that really will help a lot of people in our community understand that, you know, you should look to do for self first, right? Like you mentioned before, right?
Yes.
Save your own money, find your own finance.
Yep.
You know, it might take a little bit of time, but hey, anything worth doing takes time.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Absolutely.
great. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing that.